Imagine holding a mirror that reflects not just your face, but the entire universe within you. This is what the Gohonzon represents. A sacred scroll that contains all the good fortune, wisdom, and potential that exists in the cosmos. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo before the Gohonzon, we are not asking an external power to grant us wishes. Instead, we are awakening the limitless treasure that already exists within our own lives. The Gohonzon works like a tuning fork for our lives. Just as a tuning fork creates a perfect note that other instruments can match, the Gohonzon helps us align with the rhythm of the universe itself. Nichiren wrote, "Never seek this Gohonzon outside yourself. The Gohonzon exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people who embrace the Lotus Sutra and chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. This means that while we face the scroll when we chant, we are really awakening something deep inside ourselves, our Buddha nature, which has been there all along, waiting to emerge. Think of it this way. You have a smartphone in your pocket with access to incredible technology, but it needs to be charged and activated to work. The Gohonzon is like the charging station and the activation code combined. All the apps, all the capabilities, all the connections are already built into your phone, but you need to plug it in and turn it on. Similarly, all the wisdom, compassion, and strength you will ever need already exist within you. The Gohonzon and our chanting practice help us access and activate these qualities. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all people possess the Buddha nature without exception. This revolutionary idea meant that enlightenment was not reserved for monks who spent decades in mountain caves, or scholars who memorized thousands of sutras. Every person, young or old, rich or poor, educated or not, has the same fundamental nature as the Buddha. The sutra states, "At the start I took a vow, hoping to make all persons equal to me, without any distinction between us." This equality is not about having the same circumstances or the same challenges. It means we all have the same inner capacity for wisdom, courage, and compassion. When all the good fortune of the universe gathers in the form of the Gohonzon, what does this really mean? Good fortune is not just about winning the lottery or avoiding problems. True good fortune means having the wisdom to navigate life's challenges, the compassion to help others while helping ourselves, and the strength to keep going even when things are difficult. The Lotus Sutra describes this as the treasure tower that exists within each person's life. Nichiren explained, "The treasure tower is none other than our own lives." The Buddha did not reveal the treasure tower as existing somewhere outside ourselves. Consider how a seed contains an entire tree within it. The seed does not look like a tree, and if you cut it open, you will not find tiny branches and leaves inside. Yet given the right conditions, soil, water, sunlight, that seed transforms into a magnificent tree. The Gohonzon is like the sunlight that helps our seed of Buddhahood grow. Our chanting is like the water that nourishes it. The determination to keep practicing is like the soil that supports it. And the tree that grows is our transformed life, displaying wisdom, compassion, and strength. The universe itself operates on certain fundamental laws. Scientists have discovered that everything is connected through invisible forces and fields. Gravity connects the Earth to the Moon and the Sun. Electromagnetic fields allow our cell phones to work and our bodies to function. In Buddhism, this interconnectedness is called dependent origination, or the principle of cause and effect. The Buddha taught, this exists because that exists. This ceases to exist because that ceases to exist. Everything affects everything else. When we chant to the Gohonzon, we are tapping into this cosmic network, aligning ourselves with the positive forces and rhythms of the universe. Nichiren emphasized that the Gohonzon embodies the life of the Buddha and the lives of all living beings. He wrote, "Embrace the Gohonzon, which is the ultimate purpose of the Buddha's advent and the essence of the Lotus Sutra." This means that everything the Buddha wanted to teach, everything he hoped to share with humanity, is contained within this practice. When we face the Gohonzon and chant, we are having a direct conversation with the universe itself, and more importantly, with our own deepest self. Drawing forth our inherent wisdom happens naturally through this practice, but it does not always look the way we expect. Sometimes wisdom comes as a sudden insight, about a problem we have been struggling with for months. Other times, it appears as the patience to wait for the right moment instead of rushing into a decision. Wisdom might show up as the ability to see a situation from someone else's perspective, or as the courage to admit when we are wrong and need to change direction. The Lotus Sutra says, "The wisdom of the Buddhas is infinitely profound and immeasurable." When we chant to the Gohonzon, we access this infinite wisdom that knows exactly what we need in each moment. Compassion is often misunderstood as simply being nice to people or feeling sorry for those who suffer. True compassion is much deeper and more powerful. It means feeling the suffering of others as if it were our own, and then taking action to help alleviate that suffering. But here's the important part. We cannot give what we do not have. If we ourselves are drowning in problems, exhausted, and depleted, we have very little to offer others. Chanting to the Gohonzon fills us with life force, energy, and hope. Only when our own cup is full can we pour from it to help others. The Lotus Sutra promises, "If there are those who hear this law, there is not one who will not attain Buddhahood." This means that through this practice, we naturally develop the capacity to help not just ourselves, but countless others. Nichiren wrote extensively about the concept of earthly desires are enlightenment. This teaching is particularly relevant when we think about chanting to the Gohonzon. We do not need to eliminate our problems, desires, or struggles before we can access wisdom and compassion. Instead, we bring our whole selves, including our problems and desires, to our practice. The fire of our challenges becomes the fuel for our enlightenment. A person struggling with anger learns compassion through that struggle. Someone facing fear develops courage by confronting it. Our earthly desires and problems are not obstacles to enlightenment. They are the raw materials from which enlightenment is forged. The strength we draw forth through chanting is not just physical strength, although practitioners often report feeling more energetic and healthy. This strength is primarily spiritual and emotional resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going when we feel like giving up, to maintain hope when everything looks dark. Nichiren himself demonstrated this strength throughout his life, facing persecution, exile, and even a near execution. He wrote, "A sword is useless in the hands of a coward. The mighty sword of the Lotus Sutra must be wielded by one courageous in faith." The Gohonzon gives us this courage, this mighty sword, but we must wield it through our continued practice and determination. The gathering of all good fortune into the Gohonzon can be understood through the Buddhist concept of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. This profound teaching suggests that every moment contains all possibilities, all potential states of life, from the depths of suffering to the heights of enlightenment. The Gohonzon is a mandala, a visual representation of this teaching. When we chant to it, we are choosing which of these 3,000 realms to actualize in our lives. We are consciously deciding to manifest wisdom over confusion, compassion over selfishness, strength over weakness. Think about how a prism works with light. White light contains all the colors of the rainbow, but we cannot see them until the light passes through a prism. The prism does not create the colors. It reveals what was already present in the light. The Gohonzon works similarly with our lives. All the good fortune of the universe, meaning all the positive potential, all the solutions to our problems, all the wisdom we need, already exists within us and around us. The Gohonzon and our chanting practice act like that prism, making visible and accessible what was always there but hidden from our ordinary perception. The Lotus Sutra contains a famous parable about a poor man who does not realize he has a precious jewel sewn into the lining of his robe. He wanders around begging for food and struggling to survive, not knowing he is actually wealthy. Years later, a friend points out the jewel to him, and suddenly his whole life changes, not because he gained something new, but because he realized what he already possessed. This parable perfectly describes our relationship with the Gohonzon. We are all like that poor man, searching outside ourselves for happiness, wisdom, and strength, when all along these treasures exist within us. The Gohonzon is like that friend who points out the jewel, and our chanting practice is how we learn to access and use it. Nichiren taught that faith, practice, and study are the three essential elements of Buddhism. When we talk about chanting to the Gohonzon to draw forth wisdom, compassion, and strength, we are really talking about all three of these elements working together. Faith means trusting in the process, even when we cannot see immediate results. Practice means showing up to chant, even on days when we do not feel like it. Study means deepening our understanding of Buddhist principles so we can apply them in our daily lives. Together, these three create a powerful force that transforms us from the inside out. The good fortune that gathers in the Gohonzon is not a limited resource that runs out if too many people use it. Unlike material wealth that must be divided among many people, spiritual wealth multiplies when shared. When one person chants and draws forth wisdom, it does not leave less wisdom for others. In fact, the opposite is true. As each person develops their Buddha nature, they inspire and help others to do the same. This is why Nichiren encouraged his followers to share this practice with others, writing, "If you light a lantern for another, it will also brighten your own way." Consider how the ocean contains countless drops of water, yet each drop contains the same essence as the entire ocean. The minerals, the saltiness, the very nature of ocean water exists in every single drop. The Gohonzon represents the ocean of enlightenment, and our individual lives are like those drops. When we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we are recognizing our connection to this vast ocean, drawing from its infinite resources while remaining our individual selves. We do not lose our personality or identity. Rather, we discover our true identity as an integral part of the cosmic whole. The wisdom we draw forth manifests in practical ways. A student struggling with a difficult subject suddenly grasps a concept they could not understand before. A parent finds the right words to help their troubled teenager. A person facing a career decision gets clarity about which path to follow. These are not mysterious or magical occurrences, but natural results of tapping into our inherent wisdom. The Buddha taught that enlightenment means becoming awakened to the truth that already exists. When we chant to the Gohonzon, we wake up to the wisdom that has always been within us, waiting to be accessed. Compassion flows naturally when we understand our connection to all life. The Lotus Sutra teaches that the Buddha regards all living beings as his own children, wanting nothing more than for them to be happy and free from suffering. When we develop our Buddha nature through chanting to the Gohonzon, we begin to feel this same boundless compassion for others. We see beyond surface differences and recognize that everyone is fighting their own battles, everyone wants to be happy, and everyone has Buddha nature. This recognition transforms our relationships and our actions in the world. The strength we need varies from situation to situation. Sometimes we need the strength to take action and make changes. Other times we need the strength to accept what we cannot change and find peace with it. Sometimes we need the strength to speak up for ourselves or others. Other times, we need the strength to remain silent and patient. The Gohonzon helps us access exactly the type of strength required for each unique situation we face. Nichiren wrote, "Suffer what there is to suffer, enjoy what there is to enjoy, regard both suffering and joy as facts of life, and continue chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo." This is the strength to embrace life fully, with all its ups and downs. As we continue to chant to the Gohonzon, day after day, year after year, something remarkable happens. We begin to notice that the treasures we are drawing forth, wisdom, compassion, and strength, are not temporary gifts that come and go. They become permanent parts of our character. We become wiser people, more compassionate people, stronger people. This is the true meaning of human revolution, the transformation of our fundamental life condition. The good fortune of the universe becomes not something we occasionally access, but something we embody in our very being, something we carry with us wherever we go and in whatever we do.